live from the Hoboken Historical Museum in beautiful Hoboken, New Jersey. It's the second season premiere of Hoboken Talks. And you can tell it's the second season because the background on the logo, it's normally green, but now it's like a brownish. So we'll see. Each season will have a different color background. Hoboken Talks. We talk to people. It's a talk show. It's born during the pandemic and through the Delta, through the Omicron. We're still going, talking to the brightest lights in this mile square city. Today, a wonderful honor, a great honor. We have just one of the top entertainers in our midst. I like saying that. Her name is Tammy Faye Starlite. You've seen her. Well, you haven't seen her on record, but you've heard her on record. Maybe you've seen her off Broadway. You've seen her off Broadway. You've seen her a little closer to Broadway. All over. New York Times has praised every show that she's put on. Tonight she's here with us.
Hi.
We welcome. Well, it said on the thing, it said Tammy Faye Starlite, but as we see,
I put my
where,
new. I put
where
my
is that?
new.
There.
My new and old. My regular name, kind
That's
of.
your combined. We have your birth name.
Yeah, my family name and my married name.
Got it. And we already have a comment from.
Oh no.
No, what do you mean? Oh no. No. Oh yes.
I get hate mail, so I'm.
No, Rand is not going to share the hate mail.
Oh, I don't mind it.
He'll print it out for later.
Yeah.
But, we'll have some good fun with that. But no, that was Eric Kammer, who's our most loyal viewer, and he was he the season finale? The season finale of season 1.
Wow.
It was a bit of a cliffhanger.
Did J.R. Ewing, who shot him?
But we're back for season 2, and just some bookkeeping. Just to remind people, we're live on YouTube, on Facebook, on the Hoboken Historical Museum page. Apparently, we're live on Twitter, but that's a thing. And I think Trump is trying to get us live on his upcoming, but it's still working out the odds and ends. But if you're watching,
very, he's very thorough.
He's crossing the T's with that giant Sharpie.
Yeah.
Sam Parker out in Los Angeles, California.
Oh my.
Says Hoboken is screaming.
As it often does.
Folks, if you're watching live, you can be like Eric Kammer, be like Sam Parker. Type in a little, you got a comment, you have a question, send it over. If our technical director, Rand Hoppy, thinks that it's a worthwhile comment, that it's polite, he'll pass it along and we'll respond to it live on the air. If you're just catching up now, these are all archived on YouTube, so you can watch it multiple times and recite the lines. That's a fun thing to do.
Right.
Like, one person plays Tammy, one person plays Jack.
Oh, that's.
And then if you have a third person, they play Rand.
Yeah.
All right, but enough of the silliness and the bookkeeping. We welcome Tammy Lang Hartel.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and thank you for doing it in this, because I'm a COVID neurotic. So these days I'm not venturing out all that much.
Understood. And look, Sam Pocker chimes in again. He says Tammy's Broken English show at Lincoln Center a few years ago, one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Oh my God, that's so sweet. Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
And he's a performer himself. He's a multi-genre talent.
That's
Mr. Sam
wonderful.
Pocker.
Thank you.
And we get a hello from Tony Baumgartner, who says, hi, Jack and Tammy. Happy New Year. So
Happy New Year to you, Tony.
That's nice. We haven't
always
even
happy with a question mark in this year, though, isn't it? It's kind of
happy New Year.
Happy-ish.
Tammy does mention an interesting point, because when these shows started, there was a plexiglass between the interviewer and the interviewee. And then after a while, things were safer and the plexiglass went away. Then the plexiglass came back.
Oh, that's...
And now this is the first one where we're actually doing a virtual interview.
Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Tammy, for me, it's not a problem, because long before the pandemic, most women would only agree to meet with me by closed circuit television. So it's...
Women have always had an intuition about things, and they were wise and prescient.
Can we Rand, let's take a look at the first photo.
Oh dear God.
Now what are we looking at here?
We're looking at me with my natural hair color, which is brown.
All right.
Which is surprising, but it turned blonde later on. You know how people's hair lightens as they age. And next to me, I guess I can't tell if it's my right or my left, but the little redheaded boy was my brother David, who was about 4 years younger than me. Next to him is my cousin, who was my best friend at the time, Elisa Miller, who was my age exactly, but 4 days older. She was born on Mick Jagger's birthday, and I never forgave her for that. I only consoled myself by saying, well, at least I'm 4 days younger than she is. And her sister Jennifer, who is also the same age as my brother David, and we were second cousins, but our families did everything together. Her mother and my father were first cousins. Our grandmothers were sisters, and so we lived in each other's houses, pockets, lives. And it's with Elisa and Jennifer, my brother didn't participate too much, that I started writing my own shows, directing and performing in them.
Yeah, it looks like something's going on here. Like you may have been doing a show, or
I think I was always doing a show in my mind, or at least, I was planning one. And I don't know what we're doing here. It might be some stupid holiday. We're not dressed up enough for it to be Passover, so maybe it was just getting together. And this is so quotidian. This is so tiresome. We were just this was certainly not the time when I was not old enough yet to have written my own version of West Side Story, in which I decided to change. I was 11 and I decided to change the ending because it was too sad. And I thought Tony should live. And the way that I thought he should live was that at the end, when Maria is leaning over him saying, "Oh, Chino, how many bullets?" That Tony lifts his leg and pees. And that's how you know that Tony is alive. That was my revamped West Side Story. I don't know why Spielberg didn't use that, but
I think it's in the director's cut.
It definitely is in the director's cut.
And now, Rand, the next photo.
Oh, my parents.
That's nice.
Yeah, my dad.
Tell us a little about the
My dad was a judge. He was a lawyer before that. And before that, he was born in Brooklyn. He moved to Manhattan. I was born in Manhattan. My mother was born in Rochester, New York, a Catholic. Her mother was Polish. Her father was Italian. She met my dad and fell in love while she was at Columbia School of Social Work. And he had already graduated from Columbia Law and was, I believe he had just perhaps written the Rockefeller drug laws, which I didn't know till much later that he wrote those. And they fell in love, and she converted to Judaism before they got married. He didn't care, but his parents did. And so that's why I'm Jewish. And they were, my mother was a psychiatric social worker who then became a fundraiser at UGA Federation. So she embraced the Judaism wholeheartedly. We weren't particularly religious. We did the basic things like the, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and the festival meals, but we didn't keep kosher or keep the Sabbath. But, and my dad was very funny as a judge and very, he taught me how to do crossword puzzles, and we played backgammon. We watched Family Feud together, and my mom was my idol and always, working from when I was 3 months old. She left me in the care of our housekeeper, and she was always working. And, she taught me how not to cook. She taught me how to order through catalogs and now online. So that's why I can't do anything useful, but I love them very much. I didn't have a traumatic childhood, per se. I mean, there were traumatic things I had to do, like they would make me and my brother go to our grandmothers, our Jewish grandmothers, a lot of weekends while they did fun things. But other than that, they were very nice people. My dad died in 1987. My mom died in 2009, and they live on in my heart. Irving and Judy. She was even named Judy. Like, that's how ready to be Jewish she was.
My mom is Judy as well. So there you go.
Wow.
Back to the two-shot, Rand. If you don't mind. All right. So interest in performance and showbiz and all that coming up.
It was pretty much instantaneous. My mother had remembered a story of when I was very, very little that I wanted to be a teacher who only taught the letter H. That was my first profession going to be. And then when I was 6 years old, I was in our grade school. I went to like a Jewish day school on the Upper West Side that doesn't exist anymore. It was so tiny. Like at its biggest, there were 50 kids in the whole school. And I was 6 years old, and I decided to do William's Doll from Free to Be You and Me for the talent show. And I sang that, but then I forgot the words. And I was hugely embarrassed because the principal got on stage and she said, "Can anybody help Tammy with the words?" And from then on, I made sure that I would never go up on a line again, which didn't happen, but it kept me conscientious and focused and vigilant. Sure. And then I just started writing my own plays. I was always being in plays. Our school did versions of Annie, of West Side Story, which was hilarious. From, Jews doing West Side Story is almost as funny as Jews playing sports. But, and our 8th grade graduation play was Fiddler on the Roof, where I played Golda. And I listened to cast albums, specific cast albums, the ones that we had, like Fiddler on the Roof and My Fair Lady. And then when I was 12 and I saw the movie Grease, before I saw the Broadway show, because I grew up in Manhattan, I didn't see many Broadway shows, just some. But Grease just blew my mind open, and I thought, rock and roll and theater in the same, in the same package right here with all these fabulous 30-year-olds in high school. This is like, it was revelatory to me. And so that's, I think, where that first inkling of combining rock and theater came from Grease. But then when I saw the Broadway show a little bit later, I thought, this is kind of crappy. There's no like big stars. There's no Australians here. No Soccer Channing, who I loved. I always liked the second lead in musicals better than I'd much rather be Ado Annie in Oklahoma than Lori. The first lead is always kind of boring. The second lead is always a little spicier.
Right.
And
now here's a question. I've interviewed you in print a couple of times.
Yeah.
But here's one that I hadn't asked you before. The character of Tammy Faye Starlite.
Oh, yeah.
How did that come to be?
Well, it started, I had started out, as an actress. I went to Tisch School of the Arts. I got into Tisch School of the Arts. I went there for one semester. I hated it, so I switched to be a creative writing major, and then I took acting classes outside of school. I studied Meisner technique. I studied various kinds with tons of people, and then I was doing guiding light for a while. I was a recurring role as a maid of the Spalding mansion. And the other maid who was my partner in crime was Allison Janney. And we became great friends. She came to my first wedding. She sang at my first bridal shower. And and then I don't know what became of her, but I think she seems to be fine.
She's actually next week's guest on
Hoboken
Talks.
With like 3 Emmys and Oscar. I don't really know. I feel bad for her, but she's brilliant and such. So then that kind of all stopped. My manager died. I had just gotten it my first equity show, and so I decided with my then boyfriend to start doing this kind of performance comedy that was happening on the Lower East Side at Surf Reality, and also places like Luna Lounge, and then later Baby Jupiter. And I was doing all these different characters. I had like a Stevie Nicks kind of Wiccan kind of mock-up. I had a British video. I was really inspired by Eric Bogosian, right. His show Sex, Drugs, Rock and Roll. But what inspired me about that was not only his performance, which was fabulous, but also the interstitial music was rock and roll. And I thought, that's really exciting. That kind of opens people up, that the music opens people, it makes the audience more receptive because it's a visceral sensation. So I had fallen in love with country music through my love for the Rolling Stones. I got to Graham Parsons, and then to Emmylou Harris and the Judds, and then I became a fan of kind of modern 90s country music, and I decided I wanted to be a country singer. And I thought, I can't be a real country singer, but I can be a fake one. And Tammy Faye Baker was big in the news at that point, and so I was like, oh, I'm Tammy, I might as well be Tammy Faye. And then Starlight just sounded like a stupid, cheap, Holiday Inn lounge, and I appropriated that moniker. And then the only thing I had for Tammy Faye Starlight was doing Stand By Your Man with a monologue in between the two choruses about being, which was, my sensibility was always a little skewed. So I wanted her to be kind of the foot, and I thought people liked it. Who doesn't? Like, if we're getting down to it, I mean, this kind of, well, I'll just shut up now. Like I said, I've gotten hate mail. So, but I decided Tammy Faye would be everything that I wasn't, which was Republican, because my parents were big Democrats, especially my mom, had election parties, was huge, was part of Community Free Democrats on the Upper West Side. So I thought she'd be a Republican, evangelical country singer. And then after the Stand By Your Man, I wrote 2 of my own songs. God Has Lodged a Tenant in My Uterus, which was a anti-abortion song, and God's a Hard Habit to Break, which is about, you used to be a drugging, drinking, and now it's one of those salvation songs. And I decided to get a band together, and I had been a big fan of the Washington Squares, who were a kind of neo-folk trio in the 80s and 90s, and primarily the 80s in Manhattan. And I'd seen him drumming with Billy Thicka, who was from television. Okay. I thought, I want him to drum with me and I'd become friends with Lauren, the woman in the Washington Squares, and I said, can I call Billy Ficca? And so he drummed with me, and then I had Denny Bonet, the violinist. I don't know how I got to her, and then a guitar player named Mark McCarran, and they became my trio. And then later on, I got a bass player, and so it was Mark and Keith Christopher and Billy. And I started writing more songs, and I wrote one called Did I Shave My Vagina for This, which was huge. And then I decided I really wanted to go to Nashville. And I was always watching the Nashville Network, and I saw this ad saying, sing your songs for professional songwriters and record industry people, and we'll give you feedback. And you can just register and go to Opryland Hotel. So I thought, that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it as Tammy Faye. And it's going to be hilarious. And everybody said, you're crazy. And I was like, no, I know these are my people. I feel it. I watch them. I see them. I know it. So I got my friend Lauren Agnelli of the Washington Squares to go down with me to play guitar, because I can't. And we did my songs for the industry exec in the halls of Opryland Hotel. And I had painted my face like kabuki white, and I had black lipstick and a long white Loretta Lynn ball gown, and I'm running through the halls thinking I'm so subversive. And this woman sees me walking, and she says, "Oh, you look pretty." And I thought, okay, I'm home. I knew it. And then we started in the hallways after we performed. You had people with like Garth Brooks two-tone shirts and cowboy hats saying, "Play that uterus song again." So I did, and I kept going down there and bombarding places and doing my Stand By Your Man and having people be horrified, and doing a song at the Bluebird Cafe, which is where Garth Brooks was discovered and married Chapin Carpenter. And it's a very kind of singer-songwritery, where their motto is, shh, don't talk, listen to the performers. So I went up there and did a song called Ride the Cotton Pony, which is about going down on your girlfriend when she has her period. And I got hissed. Also, I did a song called Moonshiner's Child, which was my version of Coal Miner's Daughter, which was a happy incest song. But then slowly it started to get traction, and I played places like The End and The Exit In. And then I got a manager, John Lomax III, who was the nephew of Alan Lomax, right, I believe. Sure. And I got in the front page of the art section, and I had a big show, and Amy Grant's ex-husband, Gary Chapman, who I'd always watched on Nashville Now, was there. And I had always made fun of Amy Grant, saying things I don't know if I can say here on this family-friendly channel. But
we've had Bob Burt on, so you can basically say whatever you want.
Okay, well then I used to have a faux rivalry with her, and I'd say that her vagina was thatchy and like a forest, and it smelled like duty. And that's like that's the level that I'm working at, right? So, and then I wrote a play based on Tammy Faye that I did with my boyfriend Keith. I had gotten divorced from my first husband, and Keith Hartel.
Wait, the records came out somewhere in between there.
The records came out in between, and what I did with
let's pop those up on the screen for a second.
That was the first record where
you have the brown hair.
Yeah, it was actually red. I had an unfortunate year of redhead, and I thought I would be Anne Margaret, and it looked horrible. It looked stupid, and I finally, after that year, I was, let's say, not being great in my marriage, and I kind of put that cryptically on the record, not so cryptically.
Right.
And if you listen to the record, and there, because it's a fake radio interview, and it's mostly improvised with my friend Jeff Ward, who later was the DJ interviewer in my Nico show, and it was attached to a story, and that record, detailed essentially why I broke up with my first marriage. But it also, if you're lucky enough to have the one that was not on iTunes, there is a track, because what I went to do it, I had booked an appearance on a Columbia radio station for a Sunday morning, their Sunday morning show. And the guy who booked me, I think he knew what I did, but he wasn't there. He was out. And a young Barnard girl was the DJ. And she had no idea what I was doing, but I just came in and I said, "Oh, you a little Jewish girl? Well, give me your hand and let me, let's just ask all these listeners at Columbia and Barnard to cleanse their filthy Jew money and give it to Christ." And then I had my whole band there and we did the uterus song. And then she said, "Okay, we're going to go off the air for a while." And then she muted us and she said, "You have to get out. They're calling. People are calling. They're furious. They're so angry." So we ran out of the radio station, which was in a church. It was like, we were like, from Scooby-Doo, we were running. And my then husband had taped it. And the DJ, the poor woman, had a breakdown on the air afterwards saying that this is not what we represent and this is not who we are. And she starts crying and she has to leave. She can't keep it together. So that's a big feather in my cap.
And that was on the original, the CD release.
The CD release, yeah.
But Steve Jobs' dying request was that not make it onto the iTunes.
He was adamant. Yeah. And I could not, no matter what I did, I could not sway him otherwise. So, unfortunately for the zero who bought it on iTunes, they didn't get to hear that. Yeah, but it's there. It's out there somewhere.
And ran the next. Now this guy had some pretty good distribution here for the full length follow up.
Yeah, that was on
Country Female.
Yeah, Used Country Female, which came from. I was in LA and looking in a used record store, and they had a category, and it said "Used Country."
Sure.
Female, and I thought, well, that's what I am. So that one it didn't have any interstitial dialogue. It had some covers. Marshall Chapman, the singer-songwriter from Nashville, she pitched me a song actually, and we did it. "Don't Make Me Pregnant," like its predecessor. It was produced by Eric Roscoe Amble.
Roscoe.
Yeah, Roscoe. I had a different band, and Jeremy Tepper of Diesel Only put it out on his record label. So it has my version of Cheap Trick's "Surrender," which it's kind of like that Christian band. I think they're called Pentatonics, where they take popular songs and Christianize them. That's what I did with "Surrender."
Right.
And from what I heard, my drummer at the time, Ken Coomer, who had been with Wilco, he played it for Tom Peterson, who liked it. So I'm going with believing that, whether it's true or not.
And people can find these on Apple Music,
on
Spotify.
But I don't know if it's on Spotify. It's definitely on YouTube.
I want them to pay money though. Go to iTunes and spend a few bucks.
Yeah, why not? It's fun. There's the "Ride the Cotton Pony" song. There's a bunch of original songs. Some that I wrote with Mike Daly, who was in Whiskey Town, and
sure.
Some that two that I wrote with Eric Drysdale, who was a writer for The Daily Show and Colbert, and Samantha Bee and Colbert again, and he's a brilliant comedian. We wrote 2 songs together. One, he's my gay ex-husband, and that's called the Jim Rob song, which is his title. So if you reverse it, the name Jim Rob, if you spoonerize it, you'll get the meaning. Yeah, so
love those spoonerisms.
Yeah.
And then you come to Hoboken, because this is Hoboken Talks. For God's sake.
In 2000, I got divorced in 2003. I was with somebody and then broke up with them at the end of 2003. And in 2004, I started seeing this young fellow named Keith Hartel, who was a musician. Great musician, was at that point in True Love, the band, and we hit it off. And then I had been living in my solo apartment in Manhattan, and he was coming there, and I would come here. And then he said, "Well, we wanted to move in together. My lease was up first. My apartment was smaller and more expensive. So he's like, why don't you move to Hoboken? And I said, okay. And then he said he was worried that it would be like Green Acres for me, but I had been to Hoboken. I had visited my friend Jill Richmond there because in this whole time, I also had a band called the Mike Hunt Band, which was started by me and Jill, and in which we just did Rolling Stones albums in their entirety. And we were some of the first to do it. And Owen Kamaski, who ran Arlene's Grocery and who had been doing Ziggy Stardust in its entirety, credits us and him with starting that trend. So again, I'm going with believing that, even though it's probably just hubris on my part. So I had been to
Rand,
Hoboken.
let's see the next photo. I think is Tammy. No.
Oh,
wait, this is from the Used Country Female.
No, that's when I was in the Mike Hunt Band.
Perfect timing. Rand,
exactly.
You couldn't have hit that.
This was around 1999 or 2000, maybe. No, it had to be 2002. It had to be 2002 because after 9/11, we did one of those bottom line shows where everybody does songs of the Rolling Stones, and Jill and I were doing Sympathy for the Devil with the band. She was playing guitar and I was singing, and of course I had to mention 9/11 and in the way that a funny way, because it was funny at the time. And these two people from this Stones fan group called the Shadoobies saw us and had us play their annual Stones Festival in Wildwood, New Jersey, which we ended up doing for many, many years. And this was the first one where I was on the beach. We were outside, I was on the beach, and I think we were doing Midnight Rambler. And then I just ran into the sand and took off my raincoat and had on like a strapless bra and panties. And then the cops came and they were going to arrest me, but then they didn't. But so that's how that went.
Rand, is the next one? Is it? There we go. There's
Keith Hartel.
The aforementioned Keith Hartel, True Love.
Yeah.
True Love the band and True Love the concept.
Indeed. That was at Jillian McCain, who co-wrote Please Kill Me, is a friend. We actually knew each other in NYU. We had been in the same writing class together and then re-met many years later. And that's she was having a party for Pat Loud, the mother of the Lance Loud of American Family. And I was I had started doing Nico at that point, and I had been doing Nico shows. And so I'm dressed in kind of Nico garb, and Keith accompanied me on guitar, and we did some Nico songs in her garden, and it was a wonderful evening.
Now, not to pat myself on the back, but
please do.
I think I've done a pretty good job putting these photos in order.
I think
Rand, is the next one the Times?
Oh, that's my other.
I take back
the tribute band, the Pretty Babies, that started. Bob Gruen took that picture, who I found.
The great Bob Gruen.
He's amazing, and I knew who he was, and when the Mike Hunt Band was starting out, I found his name in the actual phone book, and called him up and said, "Can you take our picture?" And so he took a picture of me and Jill, and then in our various other bands, we had a Runaways tribute band called the Stay at Homes, because we were old and we didn't want to run away anymore. But then nobody knew the Runaways music at that point. The movie hadn't come out. So we switched to being a New York Dolls cover band called Prima Ballerina. And then that was brief, but we did get to play with Sylvain at Bob Gruen's birthday party. He came up and did Trash with us. And then we decided, well, why not do a band with songs that people really know, and more than just the cognoscenti know, but that. So we picked Blondie, and I said to Bob, "Can you do a mock-up of the Parallel Lines cover?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." So
who are we looking at here?
We're looking at 3 band members and 1 replacement. my friends Monica Falcone, who is playing bass, Heidi Lieb, who's also in the Lonesome Prairie Dogs, on guitar, Jill Richmond of the Mike Hunt Band and the other bands.
And the Aquanettas.
And the Aquanettas, exactly. And the Mean Reds. And then let's see, that is this woman who was Bob's assistant, Linda Ray, who was the blonde on the far right, I guess, I guess far right.
So she was a ringer.
She was a ringer, and she was wonderful and a wonderful assistant. And then, like the next year, she died suddenly of an aneurysm. And she was a New Jerseyite too, I believe, from Red Bank. Just the most wonderful woman, and it was just a huge tragedy. So that is a memory of Linda Ray, who was really wonderful. And
we remember her. Rand, can you bring up that last comment again? We have a comment from the wonderful Kate Brennan, who says, "This is fantastic."
I love
She says, "I love you both, Tammy and Jack."
Oh my God, Kate! I love Kate Brennan. She is brilliant. Oh my God, she's so freaking brilliant.
Well, Tammy, it was you who brought Kate Brennan to my attention.
Oh, well, that was just a pleasure because she is such a great singer-songwriter and such a great human being. And she's so smart and she's so clever. And I just adore her.
Well, I occasionally listen to some music, it's something I do.
I've heard that about
you.
She
skyrocketed like to one of my favorites, like instantaneously. If you like music, if you're watching this, type into your computer there, Kate, spelled the cool 60s way, Cait, Brennan.
Yeah.
And the album Third
is great.
Amazing. It's like a glam rock. It's awesome. She's
just got that perfect essence of whatever the cool 70s Cheap Trick vibe was. That I think Courtney Love was going for on that whole Celebrity Skin album. Kate got.
Yeah.
So well.
And out there in Arizona, and we send regards to Wendy out there as well.
Yeah.
And I want to put the pandemic behind us and get Kate out here to play a show. Maybe you open for her, she opens for you.
It
something
doesn't
like
matter.
That. Something like that.
I'll do anything for Kate.
I would like to MC the show.
You will.
Thank you. All right. Rand, next photo.
Oh, that's where, the Nico.
Again, so you write a show.
I'm sorry?
You wrote the show.
I did write it.
What inspired you to do that?
Well, I had just done the Tammy Faye play, and it went okay. It didn't go as well as I wanted it to. We did it in LA at the Gay Lesbian Center in LA, and then it might have been Keith who said, "Why don't you write about Nico?" Because I had always imitated her, and I was listening to this, and I loved her, and I was listening to this interview that she did in 1986, 2 years before she died, in Australia, and I thought, she's mentioning every song that I would ideally like to do. So I adapted that interview. Some of the lines are directly from it, and I took some other lines from other books about her, and then I made up a bunch of it, and we had a show, and we just interspersed it at different points with songs, from the various points in her career. We did a few from the album mock-up that, again, Bob grew, and I was like, "Can you do this album cover for me?"
As we see in the image here, we have on the left the actual album, and then on the right the Bob Gruen mock-up.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Fantastic.
Again, because I don't put
you on the spot, but could you do just a little bit of Nico? Maybe?
Well, all right, but she's my favorite to do because her energy is very slow and quiet, and there's always a question in her voice, and she has very long pauses. In which the host feels uncomfortable, especially if she talks about Jews. You know, I got one of the pieces of hate mail I got was from somebody who, when I was doing a Nico show in Boston, I said, as Nico, I was improvising, and I said, "Wait, was that? Yeah, everybody's got their threshold."
It's comedy. It's
Yeah,
hard
and
to-
then that I had done. You know, we started doing it at oh God, what's that place? The Duplex
Yeah.
on Christopher Street, and then I did it in L.A. and I had a different band. My drummer there was Pete Thomas of Elvis Costello's band, and Lisa Germano was playing the fiddle. Who was Mellencamp's fiddler, and she played with Bowie. And
Lisa Germano made me want to wear dresses. That's
Did-
a little.
we
fun
got
fact.
to explore that because that's
Yeah.
cool. She's also amazing. I'm just so lucky to know these people. And
Wait, now, Danny Schott, the poet laureate of Hoboken,
love Dan.
says the sad irony is you do a better Nico than Nico did.
Oh, well, that's very sweet. I don't know if he's being overly generous, but I accept it. I thank you, and I, you know,
Also a Jew.
also right, also a Jew. So that's why he said that. We we have our sub networks, our shadow government.
Our pizza joint basement.
Yeah, exactly. We got that going on. So yeah, I'll see Danny later in the cave with the aliens telling you but yeah, and then I was asked by somebody high up in the theater to change the show, and I did it at Joe's Pub in the changed way with a different director, and it was horrible. I had taken out the interviewer. It was just awful, and I knew it. And then that was in December of 2013. In January of 2014, I decided to visit Penny Arcade, the performer, who I didn't really know well, but I knew of. And I said, "Penny, I need your help." And she said, "You have to do your Nico show the way that you originally wrote it. You have to get your old director back. And I'm going to get you a run at Theater for the New City." And that's exactly what she did. And then we did that in September of 2014. And she, hold on one second.
Yeah. Rand, put up the next slide right now. Because look at this.
Sorry.
Retools the show.
So,
puts it on
we
again.
We re-got back the show, and we did it at Theater for the New City. We got such a lovely review from Charles Isherwood that it was like the Times is the essence. You know, that's my for theater. I think there's nothing better to me than the Times review, and it was so gratifying and so wonderful, because the first weekend we were not selling tickets, and we're just like, well, I guess it's up to the reviewer. And then it came out on a Sunday night, and then we sold out the rest. And
it says at the bottom there it was a NYT Critics Pick.
Oh yeah, which
pretty
is
good.
Also nice. So yeah, that was one of my favorite moments in this life that I've had thus far.
Sure. Amazing. I got to see it later. You recreated it at Monty Hall at WFMU.
Yeah, with Chris T doing the interview.
Terrific. Really.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
He was great. Yeah, we did it we actually did it at the Warhol Museum.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
We did it at Lincoln Center. After I'd done my Marianne Faithfull show at Lincoln Center, which there was kind of overlap, but Marianne came later. But I did do at at Lincoln Center in May of 2014. And then later when I did Nico at Lincoln Center, these two kids came up to me and they were like, "Oh my God, we love you so much. You're amazing." I said, "Thank you." And they said, "You look so great for your age." And I said, I'm not Nico. And they're like, "Oh." They're like, "Well, we like you anyway." And I thought, okay.
Now, did Todd Haynes approach you for the Velvet's
No.
talk? No. Okay.
No, although that documentary was great. And Danny Fields, who became a dear friend after seeing the first performance of the Nico show at Joe's Pub. And he's a dear friend and I love him tremendously, was, I thought, so great in the Todd Haynes biopic, which I thought was really wonderful.
Let's look at some other projects you've done. Look at this. Who's this guy?
Steve Earle, my friend Steve Earle,
my friend Steve Earle.
My friend Steve Earle,
he sang "My Friend the Blues."
Mm-hmm.
But now you get to say my friend Steve Earle.
Yeah, I was a fan of Steve Earle's. I was a fan in the 80s, and then he went to jail, and then he came out and had this comeback record after getting sober, and I was such a fan. And then Roscoe, Eric Amble, knew him, and I went to every Steve Earle show that was here, and I was just known as the crazy girl who danced like crazy, like a lunatic. And I got to know him, and then he saw a Tammy Faye show that I did in Nashville. Like, I swear there were like Steve Earle and some other person were the only people in the audience, but he loved it. And we got to open for him at Webster Hall. And then he had moved to New York, and he did the annual poetry project, and that's at the Poetry Project. And the first year I was asked to do it, I didn't have a guitar player, and Keith was doing something, and I said, "Would you play All Tomorrow's Parties for me?" Because it was when I was still doing Nico, and Lou Reed had just died. And he said, "Sure." And then it became a kind of tradition, and I believe that we're doing Dead Flowers here, because that's one that Steve covers, and we both know it.
Very nice.
So again, I'm very lucky to know and perform with Steve.
Well, it's also a testament to your own talent.
Yeah.
Come on.
He's nice.
Ran the next image. Now this is a pretty recent show. This was what, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
Like
2017 maybe, or
that sounds right to me.
And that image was done. I don't know if that might have been done by Todd Johnson, who was my who was my graphic artist at the time. And he, I said, "Can you just make it look like it's from the Some Girls?" But the guy, and now I'm lost his name, the guy who actually designed the Some Girls record came to the show, and he made a mock-up of me in one of the kind of Some Girls little boxes.
Right.
And we had Marshall Crenshaw guest at that show.
I remember it well.
Oh yeah, he did Before They Make Me Run, and he was a doll, and he is, and he's opened for me a few times, at my behest, because I am like Lucy Ricardo. I'll just like ask, "Can you be in my show?" Either can I be in your show or can you be in my show? I have no shame.
Eric Kammer says, "Good cover."
Oh, thanks. Thanks. It's, it's, I don't know how we came up with that idea of the scrawl and that, I love Some Girls. It's a great album.
Sure. And I think the next image is just In Your Glory.
Yeah.
Boom. Is this Joe's Pub, I guess?
It is Joe's Pub. I think I was doing Billy Huff, who's a great performer, singer, songwriter, piano player, and he has these shows called Scream Along with Billy, and he'd do a theme for the night. So I believe that was when the theme was Beyonce's Lemonade album.
Okay.
And I did the song, I don't know what, it was like Daddy Said Shoot, that the Dixie Chicks had covered, and I think that was I like to do what they call in Project Runway a reveal, when you have the code and then you do the reveal.
Right.
Like the designer on there, Brandon, who says, "Oh, another reveal." So, but I love the reveal. It's just, It's a great attention grabber for a second.
It's revelatory. Rand is the next.
Oh,
so then this was the next big show.
Yeah, the Marianne Faithfull, which came about because the guitarist Kevin Salem, who had been playing with us, said, "Hey, did you ever think about doing broken English?" And I thought, oh my God, I'd love to, because Marianne Faithfull was another person that I imitated. So I knew that Bill Bragan, who had booked Joe's Pub and had booked me there and then was booking Lincoln Center, I had asked him to do Nico at Lincoln Center, and he had said, nah. And then I knew that he loved Marianne Faithfull and this album in particular. So I said, can I do this at Lincoln Center at the Thursday night, the Atrium? And he said, okay. So I did it. I had not scripted it. I just was rambling off the top of my head. And we did the whole Broken English album with Kevin Salem. And then Kevin introduced me to his friend Barry Reynolds, who was Marianne's longtime guitar player, co-writer, who co-wrote or wrote a lot of the songs on Broken English and on her subsequent albums. And I finally did a Marianne Faithfull show called Cabaret Marianne, or it was just like a melange of her various, kind of told the arc of her life in a sense. And we got another rave from Stephen Holden of the New York Times in 2016, which was another godsend. And I love performing Marianne's songs primarily because I love her voice and I love those songs. And Hal Wilner, the late Hal Wilner, had said to me when we were doing one of the Broken English shows, I think we're doing it at Joe's Pub, he said, Marianne heard about it and she said, they're doing Broken Biscuits. Why can't they leave me alone? And so I thought, all right, if she doesn't like it, then I don't care. I'll stop doing it. And then in 2019, I realized it was the 40th anniversary of Broken English. And I thought any 0 anniversary is an excuse for a show or something. So I wrote to her on Facebook. I knew her nom de Facebook and she was still checking it at that point. And I said, can I do Broken English for the 40th anniversary? If you say no, it's fine. I understand. I love you either way. And she just wrote back, oh, do it, darling. It'll be great. So we did. And then got another Times review from Elizabeth Vincentelli, which was lovely. And I'm so attached to these Times reviews. It's like I don't have, any inner sense of anything. It's like that's the validation. But
if you're going to get validation, it's the paper record.
Yeah, it's the one I think that counts for theater or cabaret or whatever it is that I do.
Was this I assume another Bob Gruen?
It wasn't
mock-up?
Bob Gruen. We did that one twice. We did one earlier in 2014, and then this one was in 2017. And she had also had a pink album cover. We have it in blue too, but
okay.
And in yellow. I think just the more you put it on Facebook, the more you have to change it just slightly so that people will think it's a completely new thing.
Right.
Maybe it is, but you just have to vary it so it won't be the same old picture over and over and over. Because I'm not, as much as I thought I was Farrah when I was 11 years old, I'm not. And you can't just have that poster constantly and get that kind of attention. And I did have that poster on my wall, the Farrah bathing suit.
There's a Steve Martin line about that poster, but and then the next photo, here you are with the as we say, Jackson Brown, as the boss once said. You're looking very demure here. But I share this image, and we have a lot of pictures of you with the greats of the business.
Oh, well.
Because, all right, the Marianne Faithfull show, 2019,
mm-hmm.
And then suddenly we're in 2020, and then suddenly there's a pandemic. We didn't expect.
I had met Jackson. This was, I think, that Christmas 2014 when I was doing a show that he was on, and in LA at McCabe's, and Pete Thomas has a country outfit that is called Jack Shit with the bass player from Elvis, Davey, and Jackson's guitar player Belle. Lost his name now, but I'll remember it. And I was on that show doing some songs, and Jackson was on the show, and I had invited, I'm going to drop a name right here, excuse me. I invited my friends Rebecca Pigeon and her husband David Mamet to the show.
All right.
And we were talking in one of the upstairs rooms, and then in comes Jackson Brown, and I'm talking to David Mamet, and I said, Jackson Brown, this is David Mamet. And I thought, what kind of surreal life is this, like, where I'm introduced, and Jackson Brown just goes, David Mamet. And so I talked to Jackson. He said he'd heard about my Nico show, and he said at first he wasn't sure, because he was her guitar player for a while. She was the first ever to record his songs, and they had a romance for a little bit. And he said that she asked him she said, can you write a song like Jim McGuinn? And he wrote this song called The Birds of St. Mark's that he finally released on that album around that time, and which is a beautiful birdsy song, and the lyrics are about Nico. I think he'd written it several years before that. But so that's me meeting Jackson and
But he wrote another song.
He did write another song that Nico was the first to do,
and
even before him.
In the early days of the pandemic, New York, Hoboken shut down. It was a sad time. It was a lonely time. Oh. And Rand, are we able to show this video? We're going to try. We're going to try to show a video.
Okay.
All right.
I've been out walking. I don't do too much talking these days. These days I seem to think a lot about the things that I forgot to do. And all the times I had the chance to. I'll stop my rambling. I don't do too much gambling these days. These days I seem to think about how all the changes came about my way. And I wonder if I'll see another highway. I had a lover. I don't think I'll risk another these days. These days. And if I seem to be afraid to live the life that I have made in song, it's just that I've been losing so long. La 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 la. La la. I stop my dreaming. I don't do too much scheming these days. These days. days I sit on cornerstones, count the time in quarter tones to 10. Please don't confront me with my failures. I have not forgotten them.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That was directed by the great Michael Shirelli, who directed my Tammy Faye play, my Nico play, my last Marianne show. He's incredible.
And who was playing on that?
That's Keith Hartel on acoustic guitar and my
Heard of
longtime
him.
guitar player Richard Ferridan on the electric. Produced by
Part-time
Tom Bonjour.
Hobokenite, Rich
Yeah.
Ferridan.
And Tom
cat
Bonjour.
lover. Oh, there was
Tom Bonjour played on...
Tom Bonjour, who...
He produced it.
Rand, we have to get Tom Bonjour on the show.
Oh, you definitely do.
Why have we not had him? Well, we have season 2, so we all right.
Yeah.
Tom, if you're out there, we want you. Season 2. Let us know your schedule. The pandemic eases up a little, and you create... Wait. Eric Hammer says, very well done video with subway background. Let's hope the pandemic ends.
Please,
Eric,
God.
from your mouth to anti-vaxxers' ears.
Yeah, please. Jesus.
But at some point, you create a new character.
Yeah, I did. Sorry, I'm just writing a note to my husband because Tamar, I was trying to think of what to do last year during the pandemic. I was like, what do I do? I was thinking of doing like Patti Smith and doing like a combination of Anita Bryant and Patti Smith, kind of like Roy Cohn, Jack Smith. And I thought, no, I don't want to, that's just too negative. So I thought, well, I'm Jewish and my real name is Tamar. Nobody calls me that. Nobody ever did except in Hebrew class. But I'm trying to get my husband's attention here. Hey, baby. And Tamar came to me as I thought, I'd been doing an Israeli accent for my publicist who told me about Shtisel, and so I thought, so why not do a character? And she would always say, of course, because this is how Israelis do. They assume that they are right, of course. I know this, of course you are wrong. So I told my friend Rachel Lichtman, who's a brilliant videographer, writer, visual artist, and I told her my idea was to do this old Hebrew song that I knew called Lo Yisa Goy El Goy Cherev, which is kind of a children's Hebrew song, and to do it as a disco remix. And
right.
We did that, and we filmed it all remotely. Rachel told my friend Lexi, who was the only one who I would take my mask off in front of at that point in March of last year, and Lexi filmed me. Rachel was directing her on Lexi's phone, and Lexi was filming me with my phone, and we just moved the furniture around, and I got a stupid outfit on, and then we did a few more videos with Rachel, and then when the pandemic, when it looked like there were going to be shows again, Rachel and I wrote the show Tamar, and the title is from my publicist, the great Bob Merlis, called Yesterday, Today, and Tamar. So it's about the protean nature of time, kind of.
And the concept, for those who haven't seen it, is that Tamar was a recording artist in Israel. Back in the day.
And also, she was kind of one of those European artists like Dalida or Amanda Lear. And she was kind of, always on the fringes. She did all the shows, all the Top of the Pops and all that, and she never quite got to the pinnacle. And then I based her a little bit also on somebody that I came upon while I was working on the character, this Israeli singer named Aliza Kashi, who for some, she's still alive. And she was on To Tell the Truth. She was on, she was on What's My Line all the time. And she had a scandal where she said something on the radio in Israel in 1973, anti-Arab, and she was banned forever from performing in Israel. So I thought I would incorporate her story into the story of Tamar, which
You
is...
have a scandal in...
Yeah, that I decided I would say the scandal in Hebrew so that people wouldn't know what it was. Because I don't know what...
if you can put that last... Oh, this is...
That's the work of Rachel.
This would have been an album that Tamar had
Yes,
put out.
It was one of her more well-known ones.
Rand, can we maybe take a look at that video? We could try the Instagram.
I will try.
We're gonna try.
Okay.
People get a little...
And I apologize, my phone is conking out.
All right, we're nearly done here.
Oh, I don't mean to rush you. I don't have anywhere to be.
He's trying. It's on New Dimension Records. And if people go onto Instagram and look up Network 77.
Yeah, that's Rachel's. That was her forum for all these. It's an incredible work that she's done, like just creating these videos that just have this real 70s groovy vibe, and she's just amazing.
Oh, wait, here's
out now on New Dimension Records. Tamar, singer, songbird, chanteuse. Tamar, sock model, siren, muse to notoriously draining composer Jean Bertrand. Tamar, the new album, the new sound, with the voice you remember from a time you forgot. Tamar on New Dimension Records.
Oh, wait, you cut.
Yeah,
the very end of that is very funny.
Yeah, the tag is...
You go on the Instagram and...
yeah, it's online. It's on Rachel's. And Rachel's new channel is called Program 4, which all the program with 2 M's and an E. And all her work is magnificent. And
the great Ted Leo is involved in the music on these.
He did the music
videos.
And the voiceover.
Okay.
Yeah.
New Jersey's own Ted Leo.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another clip, short clip.
Yeah.
Of course, I grew up in Haifa and we don't have musical instruments. So my father taught me how to play sand. Sand? A beautiful percussive sound, because when the wind hits it right, it makes a sound like whoosh. He said, there are the doors, and Sartre says, there is no exit. So how do we get out of this situation? Of course, we turn to Kant. Parfait du Chabrel. It's a rite of passage. It's like a after portion for the chanteuse. Perhaps I will get paid in savings bonds.
Okay, we are just about it. But Rand, can you put up the last the comment we received from Steve Marsh? He says, "Hi, Tammy and Jack. Seeing you together reminds me of the last time at Tammy's fabulous Tamar show."
Oh, that's so sweet.
Where Stephen Marsh is just a guy that I know from shows. We're at always the same shows, so if he's there, it's a great show. Stephen says, "Thank you. Fantastic interview, Jack." Oh, thank you. Oh, I wouldn't have read it if I knew it was praising me. But he says, "Of course, Tammy makes it easy."
Oh, please.
What I wanted to say is that the Tamar show had a very successful run in the fall,
Yeah.
and was supposed to return this month,
Yeah.
but darn that Omicron.
Omicron is,
Omicron.
you know,
But has been
chronic fatigue syndrome. But
it's been rescheduled
yes,
for April.
just in time for Pesach.
Thursday, and here is Tamar in her
Yeah,
glory.
that's another Bob Gruen photo with Rachel Lichtman's artwork.
Fantastic. And so if people go to Pangea, that's Pangea, Pangea NYC. I think they can already start buying tickets, or
I
not.
hope so. Soon they're gonna have the link up. Hopefully soon.
Hoboken. So John O'Toole says, quite an enjoyable show. They had that on the Times ad for a while.
Yeah, that's I thank you, John, very much.
No, that was a tremendous show. And what you don't dumb things down for the audience. If you're making references, if they don't get it, so what? You keep going.
It's okay. It's just a moment, and it passes.
It was fantastic. I love that. I've loved all of these shows that we've mentioned. I've seen them, and I love them.
Well,
and I can't wait to see what's next.
You are an angel, and I thank you. You are always so kind and generous and fun and funny.
No, you are.
No, you.
No, you. No, you.
No, you.
Tammy Lang Hartel, a.k.a. Tammy Faye Starlite, we thank you. Follow her on the social medias.
Yeah,
Instagram,
anything.
Tammy Faye Starlite. Facebook, I think it's just Tammy Faye. And stay up to date and purchase. Go into iTunes and buy the records and be a nice person and.
And let's get this thing done with.
Let's do it. Come on.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Come on. We're ready.
Now.
Let's get back to normal.
All right. Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Tammy, thank you.
Thank you,
so
Jack.
much.
So much. You're awesome. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And this has been Hoboken Talks. Coming up soon, Julio Fernandez. He's a guitarist in Spyro Gyra. Jazz fusion, baby. After that, Lenny Luigi. We'd like to thank, the late Mel Kiernan and his family. These shows in memory of him. He was a big fan of the museum and was thoughtful enough and had enough foresight. He put the museum in his will, which is just a wonderful, just a super generous thing. And we miss Mel and we thank him. We also thank the members of we call it the Shipyard Circle. These are our top donors. We love them, and they support all our programs. You don't have to be in the Shipyard Circle. You just, you want to be on a little rubber raft or whatever. Any amount is welcome, and we appreciate your support. But those in the Shipyard Circle, we love you. We really do. Thank you to the New York Historical Commission. They gave us a technology. It's a grant. What was it?
Yeah.
It was a grant. It was as simple as that. Do you think we could have done what we did with Tammy at an undisclosed location and me here at the museum without the support of the New York Historical Commission? No, we could not have. The Applied Development Company, we wouldn't have a physical space if it weren't for them, okay? charges a very reasonable rent. It's $1 a year. $1. Come on. But they support the museum in a myriad other ways. So our thanks to them. The main exhibit continues here at the museum, and we have, the COVID protocols are in place. But if you haven't seen this yet, it's The Avenue, A History of Washington Street, from the earliest days up to newer days. Includes almost everything you'd want to see. There might be a couple of things not there, but that's all right too. And upstairs, it just started January. No, wait, it hasn't even started yet. It's this Sunday. Even if you're watching this late, you still have time to come to the opening, January 9th. Come here, be safe, wear a mask, and but it's circus lives, hovering above, balancing below, art by Karen E. Gersh, and just beautiful circus related. And I have a sneak preview of the show up here, and it looks wonderful. So that'll be running from January 9th through February 27th. And that concludes another episode of Hoboken Talks. Join us again next week for Julio Fernandez. And until then, stay safe, stay warm, and we love you. Take care.